There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire, prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the fire chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care and stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers, because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties are a key level of government, serving the people directly. So, do you vote? Had a recent hospital stay? Know someone in a nursing home? More reasons why counties matter. There are 3,069 counties across the country, with populations big and small. Most of us live and work in one. Even the nation's capital is considered a county. These county governments ensure that the food you eat in restaurants is safe. They care for the mentally ill, run court systems, build local economies, and operate 911 emergency systems. They manage parks and recreation facilities, and the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
Hi there, I'm Patrick Priest, Executive Director at CIS. And I really enjoy coming every year to this conference because CIS, we are all about counties. We are owned by counties. We were formed by the AOC. This is a great occasion for us to meet everybody in one place and learn what's important to the counties all across Oregon.
It's the networking. I mean, we learn a lot about the different issues that counties deal with, but it's networking with other commissioners, getting ideas on how they handle situations that is the most helpful for me.
I love my job. It actually matters to me on a daily basis. I used to do a lot of charity, and, you know, in commissioning in Deschutes County, you can make a serious difference. Lots of things have happened since I've been in office, and I feel like it's important to represent the people. I grew up in Eastern Oregon, and I love the residents of Eastern Oregon. The architect of our first house actually had Doris Day as a dear friend and a client, and he would bring Doris Day up the mountains in Malibu to our house as it was being built.
This is my 4th conference at AOC. My favorite part is the fellowship with other commissioners and coming up with solutions with common situations and with commissioners from around the state to best serve our people. My favorite part about being a commissioner in Josephine County is the people that we work with. We live in the most beautiful place, but we have the most beautiful people. They are talented, artistic, caring. We have such a high level of philanthropy and just caring for our fellow citizens, and it's the best place in all of Oregon.
Hi, I'm Commissioner Martha Schrader from Clackamas County, Oregon. I'm the current president of the Association of Oregon Counties. Oh my goodness, I've been president for 1 year, but I've been a member of the Association of Oregon Counties since 2003. So one of the reasons I really wanted to be president, and I've enjoyed it so much, is because I get to know everybody across the state, all the commissioners, and I've been from one end of the state to the other, visiting with them, talking with them, and really getting an idea of how we differ, but more importantly, what our similarities are and what we can do with one another to move forward with good county government.
I've been coming to AOC now for 4 years. My favorite part of serving as commissioner is trying to bring positive effects for our community and our county.
This is my 2nd year at AOC, and the camaraderie that I've found in my Eastern Oregon partners and just the camaraderie of AOC has really blessed my life.
My name is Court Boyce, Curry County Commissioner. This is a collection of people, county commissioners, public officials, well attended from all over the state. You know, I have the privilege of working with a very diverse group of people, different ages, different backgrounds, different interests, but they're all teaming up to solve the problems of our county. And it's just really a pleasure to be able to be connected with and working with those people. And better days, good days ahead for our county and our citizens.
Hi, I'm Joe Dobulskis. This is my 3rd AOC convention, and my favorite part is the networking with the people. And the breakout sessions are kind of good because it gives me something to focus on, a goal where I want the county to be in 5 years when my term is up.
Hi, I'm Tillamook County Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Our county college class was probably was the best county college class ever at AOC. It was the largest at over 33 members. When you look at the legislature and the power that the major metropolitan areas have, the rural counties are oftentimes left out of those conversations. AOC really does a terrific job of representing rural counties and rural interests, and we wouldn't have the impact that we do in Oregon without AOC.
My name is Joe Burney, Lane County Commissioner from Springfield. My favorite part is eating good food. My second favorite part is meeting with other commissioners, seeing what they're thinking, comparing solutions to problems, learning how nonpartisan solutions really are, and getting ideas. Yes.
Hi, my name is Derek DeGroot, Klamath County Commissioner, and so I'm running for second vice president of the Association of Oregon Counties. I believe that our association is perfectly poised to solve problems and bring solutions to Oregon politics and communicate with the legislature about the diversity of Oregon.
I'm Jay Bozovich, and I'm a Lane County Commissioner. And so I've been a commissioner for about 8 years and 11 months. And my favorite part about being a commissioner is this job is different every day.
Hi, my name is Alex Tardif, and I'm a commissioner for Columbia County and currently serving as AOC treasurer in my second year. And the thing I enjoy most about AOC and being the treasurer is the ability to bring 36 counties together to build a state vision, to move our state forward into the future while building a livable, workable community that we all want to enjoy.
One of the things I really appreciate about our entire region is that we embrace who we are, and I think that's what unifies us. Once the timber and fishing industries collapsed, it took us a long time to get back on our feet. People didn't quite grasp the idea that once these jobs left, they weren't going to get other family wage jobs, and it crippled us.
Things were getting really dire. So we just saw that this was an opportunity to maybe look at that public land a little differently and how it could bring more dollars into our region.
The Wild Rivers Coast is so unique because there are more wild and scenic rivers here than anywhere else in the lower 48 states. The scenic beauty is just amazing. There's so many different places to go, from the national forest down to the protected ocean, and it's just a really special place.
I guess I didn't really know how special it was, though, until I moved away to Portland and came back and saw all the potential here.
We're uncrowded, we're unspoiled, and we're a little difficult to get to, but my God, once you come here, you fall in love.
We just thought if we could pull people to come into this Wild Rivers Coast and stay longer and explore a little farther into our backcountry, there was a lot of opportunities for them to experience.
I think our whole future is at stake here. This area is ready to go. We just need to give it a little kick in the butt.
I'm going to be honest, when the Rural Tourism Studio came here, I was skeptical because I didn't see far enough ahead that we actually could collaborate regionally, and I'm pleasantly surprised. It's been amazing.
The Rural Tourism Studios was the first time we were able to come together as a region to talk about the future of our economy.
If we can have a strong tourism economy in this area, it's going to benefit the whole community.
We have to rely on ourselves, and I think through this program, it's sort of opened our eyes to what we could do when we work together. Community leaders really focused on 3 areas: outdoor recreation, food and agricultural tourism, and really building community relationships.
In our area, a lot of the food that's grown all gets shipped away. And so now we're realizing that we can capture some of that local food that's grown here. The Eat Fresh and Local Action Team has hosted a series of networking events bringing together the area growers with the area vendors so that we could have more local food available to the visitors to our area. And now we're seeing more local food in our grocery stores, in our restaurants, and we have a new local food co-op.
We created a farm trail from Bandon to Port Orford. We did 9 U-Pick farms, And it just gained traction and people loved it.
Welcome, everybody. Please stand for the national anthem, or Pledge of Allegiance. I wish we had the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome all. February 2nd, 2021. Budget Committee meeting. We're going to do this for 3 hours today, and we will conclude tomorrow, 9 to 12, and then we have a business meeting, a rare 1 o'clock time. So our schedule, if we want to adopt the agenda, can I get a motion on that, please? Moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, John Jesuit. So today we have the sheriff, John Ward. Actually, we had him at 9:15, so you're right on time. Actually, a little early. Then Assessor Cullen at 9:30. We have Treasurer Crumley, Deputy Treasurer at 9:45. We have District Attorney Spansel at 10:15. Juvenile Director Wendy Lang at 10:30. Veteran Services Anthony Vowdy at 10:45. Curry Roads Richard Christensen at 11 o'clock. Facilities Maintenance Chet Brewer at 11:15. Parks Anthony DeRock at 11:45. Board have any questions, or do you want any public comment? Okay. So we can get started early.
Yeah.
Sheriff, if you like. Welcome.
Give the meeting to him.
Oh, you ready to take over the meeting? You're still the chair.
Do we need to, well, I guess that would have to be an agenda to vote on that. What?
This
I
is
think
still the same budget
Yeah,
committee,
same one.
so
We're good.
You're still the chair of
So
the
we
budget.
will defer to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All righty. Morning.
Morning. Sheriff Warden, Curry County Sheriff's Office. I'm not quite sure what we're here for, other than to say we're within our budget and we don't have any unanticipated revenues coming in. Other than that, I can answer some questions.
Sheriff, would you mind introducing your people that are in the audience here just for the public?
Yeah, right now we have Captain Phil McDonald, Lieutenant Joel Hensley, and Lieutenant Dave Denny.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here, guys.
What would you like to know?
I think normally we do this, we have to do this for a mid-year review kind of a thing, so there's no real specifics here, I don't believe.
We have no surprises with any of our divisions. I can tell you recently that we had a big search on federal forest lands for 4 missing people that were up in the snow and stuck overnight. One was a developmentally disabled adult, and we got search and rescue running after them. We had a little side-by-side with tracks on it. It struggled to get to where the vehicle was, but wouldn't go any further. And unfortunately, 2 other people had decided they would try to walk out from the Lawson Creek Road. And of course, you know where that's at, Lawson Creek and Wild Horse. And they were going to walk 15 miles through the snow that was up to their crotch. And we didn't think they'd make it, which they probably would not have. There was a lot of, in that area, if you're familiar with it, it looks fine when there's no snow, but when there's packed snow everywhere, you don't recognize where you are. and we were afraid they were going to take a side road and go downhill and end up where we could not find them. So I called Josephine County and Jackson County both looking for a snowcat that would make it up in those areas. Josephine County had a power outage that day, and their snowcat operator was not available. Jackson County had 2 snowcats, but they're both out on searching for 8 missing people in Jackson County. And so I felt it was imperative that I need to get equipment over here that would make it through that area up there. And in the past, we've always had problems with trying to find equipment that would take us up to like top of Bear Camp when we have people stuck in the snow. And for the last, since I've been sheriff, been waiting for that perfect timing to order a snowcat. I asked for some to be volunteered to come over, but didn't work, so I called Tucker Snowcat. I've been in contact with him for about several years about what we were looking for if we ever needed to rise. Just so you know, on federal forest land, if we have a active search, we can order the equipment that we need and get reimbursed through Title III funds for whatever we need. We've done it before. So I ordered a snowcat. They didn't have one available, but they had a demo. They brought it over, and they were almost here by the time we actually found the other 2 and got them out. But we end up taking that up in the snow, and it's amazing what that equipment will do. I made a press release on that, and I had nothing but support from everybody that responded. Numerous posts saying you guys need the proper equipment to make rescues. They said if in a perfect situation, you get people who were not prepared and didn't know what they're doing, they would have lost their lives in that event. So I did order the snowcat. It's going to be $194,000 with a trailer, and that'll be paid through by Title III funds.
Mr. Pash.
And I'll let the Budget Committee know that I was down when that snowcat came here. Sheriff invited me to go down and look at it. Kind of an amazing machine. Another good part about this snowcat that I noticed was the safety for the handlers of the cat. It's got a closed compartment. There's actually buckboard mounting in the back of it for, if you had to have somebody on a stretcher kind of a thing, but it had closed compartment. If you had somebody way up in the high country in a storm, they would be safe and warm. And so I just loved it. It was great. I've been in cats in ski areas and that when I was skiing, so I know a little bit about them, but this thing was really cool, and I think it'll be a great addition to the Sheriff's Department.
We've had quite a few people that have perished on Bear Camp Road, and got stuck in the snow up there. A lot of them were on our side of the road, but we couldn't make it up there. We had a couple of old snowmobiles that were touring models that you get into a rut, you're going to tip over, and they weren't. We ended up selling those, putting the money back into search and rescue. But we would all have to call Josephine County, and they would bring a snowcat up from their side of the road over into our area just to help us out. So there is not another snowcat on the Oregon coast other than I think Humboldt County, which is quite a ways away. Not only that we are going to be able to save lives in our own county, but we can offer our assistance to Delnor County and Coos County, or wherever we need to go. We can offer our assistance. And like I say, it is an amazing machine. We've got 5 people inside there, nice and toasty and warm. I drove it for a while, got up into some area where I thought, are we going to be able to make it? Logs across the road, backed up, put the plow down, pushed snow up against the log, made a ramp, and drove right over it, and kept going. So that kind of equipment will end up saving lives, and it will make it much more easier for our deputies, our first responders, our SAR members to make it or effect a safer rescue. The little side by side that they were in, there's 4 people in it, and by the time they got the other 2 out that they first came on, they were frozen, cold, wet, and so anyway, I see on the agenda here that we down at the bottom there's talk about Title III funds, and I can go over a little bit about that. Again, I wanted to let you know that we have the authority and the authorization when we're on an active search in federal forest lands to make purchases for life-saving equipment. If you recall back when we had the Higgins search on top of the bear camp, but we never did find him, we were able to get some things that we really needed to help, in future searches. Tents and heaters and radios and radio repeaters, and so this is going to be a wonderful thing for Curry County, and I got full support from our citizens to do this. We're talking about Title III funds. There's 3 different pots of Title III funds that we can look at. Brad, I don't know if you passed that information out, or they got it on page.
Yep.
My pages are 136 to 138.
Yep.
The one that we're looking at where this has come out with no problems is on page 138. We have $625,000 in total contingencies and operating contingencies that we can use for this. So it's basically a drop in the bucket to get us a piece of equipment that we can put on the Oregon coast to help our searches. And that was the only unanticipated. What's that?
The only unanticipated anything. Everything else we're scheduled to be right on, or maybe a little under budget throughout the rest of the sheriff's funds.
Commissioner Boyce.
Do you have a place to store it? I know you do.
Well, we will find one. I'm pretty sure that we can talk to Rich at the shops out there. They have all those overhang buildings. They have a lot of equipment, but I'm sure if I talk to them and explain that they will be able to use that machine to get to the towers for their maintenance when the snow, because otherwise sometimes they have to take a cat, a D8 cat, and load it up and get it up there. And this thing will get right to it. And so with the availability to use it for those type of things, we should be able to store it out there no problem.
Good. So you the designated driver?
And no. It drives like a Cadillac. It's got 4 tracks on it, and they all move independently this way and that way, and that's why it can go anywhere up there. We took some photos, and SAR members were just so excited when they were up there on the snow with this. I had about 4 or 5 of them able to drive it, and I'm gonna have 3 designated drivers, all volunteer SAR members. And I can tell you the names like Ryan McGinnis, Dennis Hoffman, and Steve DeChico from the Forest Service. Those guys are top notch, and this thing is so easy to drive anyway. But they'll be designated drivers. I wanted at least 3 when somebody's not available that the other one can jump on. So, yeah. And John Rasher, you know John Rasher very well, and he is a snowcat operator over in Jackson County, and he has nothing but good to say about these machines. So,
yeah, he's either in the snowcat or the helicopter, searching for people.
Yeah, he's been out in snowcats. Him and Graham both doing wonderful jobs on in fact, they did find there 8 people that were missing with the snowcats. So,
Commissioner Pash?
No, that's fine. I'm good, thanks. Just the Title III money, this is, sometimes that's a struggle to find really valid projects. And this is really good news for the county. Thank you.
So as far as anything else that we're listed on here, if you have any other questions, if I can't answer them, I know I got 3 of my top guys back here can give you an update on anything you need to know about.
I have one question.
Go ahead, Brian.
So on the Marine Patrol Fund, It looks like there's a state grant for boating safety. It was budgeted $169,000. We haven't received any of that in. Is that expected to come in later this year, or what's the status on that?
Well, we should have listed on there for the Marine Patrol. We make quarterly reports, and it's a reimbursement to get that in.
Okay.
The $169,000 we will get, but it'll be by the end of the year. We'll get it quarterly we make quarterly reports to them, and I'm pretty sure the first quarter should be in.
Okay. Okay.
There wasn't, I wouldn't say it was unintentional and whatever, but we did buy a brand new boat this year. It didn't cost the county any money because we paid for it and then got reimbursed by the Marine Patrol, Marine Division, Oregon State Marine Board for the whole wad of it. So, and we were get a nice boat from Bob White over in Medford. So, yeah, I mean, it's the boat we had and we traded off. We was a 2002 North River that had been totaled at one point. And we weren't aware of it. It never did have. I mean, we always had problems with it overheating and things like that. And the other boat we have, the county owns that, and now this the new boat, the River Wild, from you know Bob White, right?
Builds a great boat.
Yeah, and did a wonderful job. You know, it cost $70,000, but it didn't cost the county anything. So,
Give us the dimensions. Do you mind?
it's a 21.9, 22-foot boat, and 8 foot across the top. We had a hardtop frame built on it instead of the poles, and it's nice and solid with a canvas top on top of that. And it's got a 6.4 Raptor motor in it with a 213 Hamilton pump, which is a hydraulic pump. The old 212s are indestructible, basically, but
Lifetime boat.
yeah, it's a lifetime boat, and it's kind of funny because I put a lot of work into it, getting it set up with everything it needed, and everybody was calling it my boat, and they're afraid to drive it. And I told Walter, I said, "You go out and you break it in, get the hours on it." So we're very fortunate to have that. We've done really well, with our community partners and our state partners on getting things that we actually need here. So pretty pleased about our relationships.
Good.
Cool. Any other questions of the sheriff? All right.
You have anything you'd like to mention there, Captain, Lieutenants?
No, I think the sheriff said it all. We're scheduled to be on budget unless there's some unforeseen emergency. I mean, of course, you guys don't know that with the jail and medical. Sorry.
I have to keep an eye on Joel.
Yeah.
What he spends for the jail. But I tell you what, he's done a phenomenal job as my jail commander, and I couldn't be more proud of what he does for us. And Lieutenant Denny is a parole and probation director. I don't have to worry about nothing when it comes to parole and probation because he deals with the whole thing. He tells me what's going on, what I need to know, apparently. So, but yeah, he does a fabulous job, and I'm very proud of my admin. Captain, I couldn't say much good about better.
Can't say much good about me. That's okay.
We need to edit that part out.
No, the only thing I was going to add is, currently we're well within our budget. We plan on staying there. Unless there's some unforeseen emergency that we can't predict. The one thing I always like to try and remind everyone is to keep in the back of your mind that we do run a jail, and we're responsible for all the medical in the jail, and that seems to be the one area that if there's going to be, knock on wood, if there's going to be a problem, that's sometimes where they do arise. And that's really our biggest unforeseen in the sheriff's office, really one of our biggest unforeseen liabilities that we may have. Right now, though, we're scheduled to be across all of the funds through the sheriff's office, parole and probation, jail, patrol, dispatch. We're on budget and on schedule to be within our budgets or maybe even slightly under, you know, if everything goes as we plan. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'd just like to make one more comment.
You didn't have anything good to say about me.
Yeah. Nothing but good to say about it. So, I was under the impression we were going to talk a little bit about future needs and everything. And just to give you, just put it in the back of your minds, you know, we have, I think, 12 positions for patrol. 2 of them are detectives. We still not able to go to 24/7, but if I had 4 more deputies, I could use 24/7. 6 for sure, but you know, 4 more deputies that we could go 24/7 and make it safe for all my deputies that are out there instead of just having them out there by themselves. Right now, with 10 positions at their action on patrol, I either got somebody that's off on injuries or in the academy. I really haven't had 12 full positions out there working, but if I had, you know, at least have the opportunity to make 4 more deputies, I don't want to be too greedy. I would take 2 if I could get them, but you know, we build up a little bit at a time instead of going backwards. You know, for the welfare and the safety of our citizens, I think it's imperative that we think about adding those positions.
That's something we'll talk about during budgeting season.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
bring it up again.
Commissioner Herzog.
What can you demand, or what can you supply to the county right now as far as hours?
For hours, we have people that come on at 7 a.m. and then go home at 2 a.m. So we got 2 to 7 that we don't have no coverage.
Okay.
And
all right,
the ones on day shift, I only got really two deputies on day shift, but they're covered also by myself, the captain, and then Joel out there, because Joel's still dual certified. He can run out and handle calls, and does quite often as far as accidents close by and things like that. Swing shift, you know, we try to cover at least 3 on each shift, north, central, south, and they can bounce back and forth to help each other out. Well, 7 days a week. But if I had some more deputies, I can extend those hours out.
Okay. Thanks, Sheriff. So this budget commission has done a really good job with a proactive mindset towards law enforcement here, and there's been quite a bit of progress that's been made with the sheriff's department. But just think about what the sheriff said for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody working. There's nobody being proactive. There's nobody immediately available to that 911 call at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And think about that in this current climate, in this current time that we live in. You know, I mean, that to me, you know, I've having been a law enforcement professional for over 35 years now, that's just unheard of in the time that we live in here. And you know, I just think about, you know, someone being afraid and making that 911 call at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and nobody's coming, you know, and the people in this county deserve the best. And this sheriff's done a really good job in being innovative and being creative, and you know, acquiring the equipment he needs and the resources that he needs, and Captain has done an incredible job spending his money very wisely. But we can continue to make progress. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that.
I got 3 minutes left here on my time. So, I did want to say he did remind me a couple things. This last year, you guys, with your support, we put that a hell of a K-9 team together, and Brad's been my K-9 reserve coordinator and trainer, and we have 3 K-9s, 2 of which are dual certified in bite work and narcotics, and the third one is dual certified in search and rescue, FEMA certified in search and rescue and narcotics. we've done a hell of a job with that division. Problem is, we're facing the problem of being defunded by government. And they recently voted in something like the House Bill 110, where it makes drugs really legal unless they're over a user amounts. And I don't think that the people who voted for that really understood what they were voting for, because the ballot measure never said we're going to make methamphetamine and heroin legal, basically. Right now, we find some methamphetamine or heroin on somebody, it's an E violation. They had to come up with we always had A, B, C, and D violations. They had to come up with a fifth one just to say it's going to be a $100 fine. You can get a traffic ticket or a seatbelt ticket that costs more money than having on drugs on you, illegal drugs. So that's going to be a chore for us on our canines dealing with the narcotics end of it. Because, canines will detect odor, but they won't detect the amount of odor. So that in itself is a huge problem for us. So we're trying to figure that out. We're going to try to do the best we can with what we have, but I had to let you know that I'm very pleased of our canine and the support that you guys put into that to help us get that program. And I have 2 detectives that are on top of things as far as narcotics and major cases like sex abuses, and trained up for homicide investigations, things like that. So we have done really well in our efforts to promote our sheriff's office and provide adequate protection for our citizens.
And two additional things regarding that canine program. One is the third dog was funded through a grant that we got. Captain McDonald was able to secure that grant, and that funded our third dog, including all the associated equipment, car, all that stuff was taken care of. And I can tell you firsthand that both of those dogs have been used in a capacity in which deputies would have been using higher levels of force to apprehend people, but that dog got compliance and it wasn't needed. And they've made a difference in that capacity. The drug seizure that took place a few months ago, I think it was one of the largest in Curry County. I don't remember what the total quantity was.
Over 2 pounds of methamphetamine.
All of the dogs were used in that search, and that was a huge search area. It was very problematic because there was a lot of outbuildings and cars, and we needed them all for that. And when it comes to sales and manufacturing, those things are still a felony crime, and I'm confident they're going to continue to be enforced as such. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that.
Thank you for your time.
I just wanted to add on, the sheriff briefly mentioned 24-hour coverage. If we build and if we work towards this, one thing I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind is 24-hour coverage to do it safely and efficiently is not putting one guy out in a car by himself in Curry County at night.
Yeah.
We cannot do that. The county can't allow that to happen. That's just going to get that one guy that's responding to something in the middle of the night by himself hurt. Yeah. If we go to 24-hour coverage, we have to have minimum staffing levels to keep not only the citizens safe, but our employees and our deputies safe. Yeah. Like I said, there are some agencies that run one person at night. That's the graveyard shift, and we have 24-hour coverage because we have one person out there until that one person needs backup and there's no one to back them up. So I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. If we do this, if we work towards it, one, it doesn't happen overnight, and 2, we don't just put one person out there and call that 24-hour coverage, because that just creates issues and problems in and of itself. So if we start working on this, we need to work on it in a proper, safe manner. So,
Commissioner Boyce.
Well, Captain McDonald, so the ideal number 6, good number 4.
in order for us to go to 24-hour coverage, if we had 6 additional deputies, then we could safely do that. Again, the last time we added deputies, I mean, you guys know, you guys added, I think, 3 positions for us, and it took us, you know, we're just now to the point where all of our positions are full, but we have 1 person, we have 2 people out on safe claims right now, and we have 1 getting ready to go to the academy. So even though we have on paper all of our positions are full, we don't have everybody out working. That's workforce. That's you know, that's part of doing business. But with 6 additional, and I'll get out of here and let you go on to the next one. With 6 additional, that would get us. We could get to 24-hour coverage. Okay. It would probably put 2 people working graveyard, but you know, as long as both are there, we can make that work. So,
Mr. Chair, we can kind of flow with the time today. You know, that was really good use of our time.
Absolutely.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Any more questions for the Sheriff's Office? Anybody? All right.
You look like you got a question.
Well, I was just going to add that I got the privilege to ride with, what's John Inslee's position?
He's a
Lieutenant Inslee. And he was sharing with me that, you know, what Oregon State has done to themselves is absolutely reprehensible to me.
Yes.
That a young man or a young person getting involved with alcohol is going to be more in trouble than if he has 40 shots of LSD or heroin or meth. And it's just, so what we've done as a state is invited all these knuckleheads to say, listen, this is where you go. Because I think he shared with me the only state in the union that has adopted this, and it's just, it's
well, we're basically a laughing stock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oregon is.
No bueno.
Nation's laughing at Oregon for
Well,
legalizing drugs.
If you're a multiple offender, potentially a 3-strike candidate in California, and you've got a methamphetamine addiction problem, and you've been arrested multiple times for possession, even though it's a misdemeanor in California, and you continuously get, arrested, why would you stay there?
We're right here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, you got any pull you can get me a ride with Deputy Inslee?
All right, we'll move along now to our
Jim
assessor.
Golden, County Assessor. Sheriff cut 7 minutes into my time. But I'm not gonna make that time back up.
Yes, you can.
The assessor's office doesn't have any snowcats or boats, so none of you are going to be interested. Probably you're the only one that's going to be interested in what I have to say, Brad. Start off, I need 9 more appraisers to go to 24/7 coverage.
You better settle for 2.
So I just wanted to say that the date that we're reporting on today is December 31st, right, Brad?
Correct.
And by December 31st, we had collected 87% of the taxes that were levied this year in Curry County. And by June 30th, we estimate that we'll be at a little over 96% on collections. In tax collections, you never get to that 100% figure. The first big reason is because if you pay your full tax bill by November the 15th, you get 3% discount. So that comes right off the top. There's also appeals and other adjustments that are made during the year. And then some of the rest of the properties can take 3 or 4 years to do the collections. Some you never collect on, you have to foreclose on them and collect it that way. I mentioned the 87% because that's significant with regard to some of the revenues that come into assessment and taxation. So the tax office is on pages, I think, 6 and 7.
Correct.
For both assessment and taxation, we budgeted in revenues a total of $17,750 in late filing penalties. So far, we're showing that we've collected $7,711. Actually, the actual amount of penalties that was levied was $18,200. You never know when you budget how much you're actually going to levy. And at a collection rate of 87%, we've actually collected $15,800, and it's just not been posted That's pretty typical for this time of the year. Those things usually get squared away around July or August. And then the other revenue in the tax collectors fund is the CAFA grant. The CAFA grant tends to come in late. Being at about 25% this time of the year is about what we'd expect. I think that we don't get the last payment for the CAFA grant until July, maybe August usually. So I'm not real concerned about that number that I see there. On expenditures, lines 330-10, 330-12, and 341-00, these expenditure line items are all part of a contract for service with Jackson County to receive and post taxes for us. It's a much more economical way of doing things as opposed to hiring another employee, which would run more than $12,000 a year, obviously. Our total budget for those lines is $11,000. The total spent so far is about $9,300. By December 31st, I just don't think we'd gotten their final billing yet. I don't know. It probably won't come in at exactly $11,000, but it'll be close to that. Line 595, postage, you see a fairly large line item there that's not spent. That's because we mail our own second and third trimester payments. We actually contract for the first trimester, which is all 18,000 tax statements that go out. Second and third, there's usually only about 3,000 for each of those, so we do that work ourselves. So that will be spent before the end of the year, at least most of it will. Other than that, the tax budget is fairly normal. We're about where we would expect to be as of December 31st. I mean, except for COVID. We're not traveling due to COVID, so we're not having any expenditures in those line items. I'll probably use some of that money savings to help pay for the new assessment and tax system that you approved the last 2 years. In the assessor's office.
Hey, Jim, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Brett?
Go ahead.
Real quick before we, so that line item 330-12, where you said, so that's that contract with Jackson County or Josephine County, you said?
Yes.
So I just wondering why, if we kind of know what it's going to cost, why did we just budget $5,700? Does that make sense? See,
well, the total it's going to cost is going to be closer to $11,000.
Okay.
And
is this something new, so we didn't really know what the budget, or?
No.
Okay.
We budgeted correctly.
Okay.
What I'm saying is we probably by December 31st just hadn't gotten their final invoice yet.
Okay.
So we still owe them more for the service that they provided to us.
Okay. I'll talk to you later, because I don't know if I'm making my question correctly.
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question either.
Well, the budget was $5,700.
And which line item are you on again?
330-12. And you mentioned it.
Yeah, I know.
On page 7.
Okay. So, good point. Thank you for making that. Like I said, we budgeted between those 3 line items a total of $11,000, and it's likely that when we got their invoice, it all got posted to just that one line item.
Okay, I got you.
So they're not properly spread out yet. That's also not uncommon for this time of the year. We get it squared away as the year progresses.
All right. So it's those 3.
Does that answer your question?
Yep, it's those 3 combined.
Right. So, I mean, you see there that out of 330-10, there's been no expenditure. It's very likely that, about $3,300 of that, $9,300, about $3,300 should have come out of that.
All right.
For that line item.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Moving on. In the assessor's office, again, the comments I made about late filing penalties and the CAFA grant pertain to the assessor's office as well. So line 334-20 is a revenue amount for grants for mapping services and equipment. We call it an ORMAP grant. We haven't found anything that they have available out there that we qualify for this year yet, so we don't have any grant applications in the pipeline. So it's likely that money won't be coming in, but we have a line item in expenditure, which is 348-00. It says professional services or MAP pilot. That's also $10,500. If we don't get any grants, we won't spend any of that money. So under revenues, line 335 is a potential loan to pay for the new assessment and tax software system that the budget committees have approved in the last 2 years. I'm not really sure why in the first year that we budgeted for that, they put it down as a loan. I think probably they were short on money. I had thought that last year when we budgeted this, that we just budgeted a resource for it rather than a loan. But this is the way it came out. In any case, we are paying for part. It's a pay-as-you-go. As they have deliverables, you pay part of that amount. And we actually were able to get, I think, about $30,000 out of last year's budget before we closed the books on that. And we'll also get some more out of this year's budget without having to go to a loan. I don't think that we'll have to look for a loan for this year to get us to the end of the budget year. And so when I come to the budget committee here this spring, I would like to, rather than try and go for a loan, actually budget for the remainder that we expect. Lines 341.50 and 380 are processing fees under revenues. Mm-hmm. Our revenues for processing fees and miscellaneous revenue. We had budgeted a total for those two line items of about $11,000. Again, they may have been posted to the wrong line item, but for those two line items right now, we're at a total revenue of $5,600, which is about 51% of the budget, which is about where we want to be, right at halfway through the year. So if we need to, we'll get that corrected as the year goes on. But I think we're good there. Under expenditures in the assessor's office, the rest of our expenditures are tracking about as expected. Line 438-00 is an amount where we generally pay the bulk of it in June. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we still have a big balance there, but it will be spent. I think that was for maintenance or repair of the software, so, yeah.
And that's your current software system, not the new one?
Well, we've started into the new software system, so we're paying maintenance based on the new software system.
Okay.
That's part of the contract. Mm-hmm. But we don't have to pay on both of the software systems. We're not paying on the old one anymore. We're paying on the new one.
Okay.
So, what are we doing with the money that you have allocated to us? And I've got a couple of things I'd like to tell you about there. Like I said before, tax collections are right on track at 87%. That's where we want to be this time of the year, and so that's looking good. Assessment is also going very well. 2 years ago, this budget committee granted granted us an additional appraisal resource. It took us a while to get that person on and then get that person certified, because we don't ever get experienced appraisers here in Curry County. We generally have to hire somebody and train them up, and that was the case for this one. So prior to that hire, we had been in, and you probably remember this, we had been working at a reappraisal cycle. That's the time it takes to get an appraisal done on every property in the county, at a little over 18 years per cycle. Now, just in the last year with this new appraisal resource, we've already come down to a pace where we're at about just under 11 and a half years. And with the resources we have available by this time next year, I'm going to guess that's going to be under 10 years as we get that new resource trained up. And it's possible that with the same resource, we could get maybe to that 8-year level that was the upper edge of what we'd be shooting for. That's not to say I won't come back for more appraisal resource in a year or two. At least ask you for it. And then a big part of the justification for adding that extra resource was, remember, I talked about all that unpermitted property that was out there. People are building and not taking a building permit. Sometimes some of the stuff we find is buildings that don't require a permit. You may remember me saying the last time. With this, well, our main tools for discovery of new construction are number one, the building permits. The people that are doing it right, they got the building permits. The next big one is maintenance reappraisal, and that's that 18, now down to a little less than 11.5-year cycle. You know, a third distant discovery tool is either the owner or possibly a neighbor reporting that something's been built there that we're not aware of. This last year, the county had an amnesty program, which I think probably worked okay for the planning building departments, but it really only produced one property to the assessor's office that we hadn't already picked up. So it wasn't as useful for assessment and taxation, but maybe it was for planning. I haven't heard the results of where they got with that. Anyway, from 2012 through 2019, we picked up a total of $30.2 million in unpermitted new construction throughout the county. Again, that's new construction that nobody took permits out on, which averages about $3.8 million a year. In 2020, we've got the new appraisal resource. The amount that we found out there, because we're able to cover more territory, was just over $6 million. So we're on a better pace there. This year so far, from November 1st to date, actually it was January 28th. So, but I don't know that we've gotten much more. We've already picked up over 4.7 million in. So that's going really well. So thank you for the extra resource. It allows us to do our job better. Again, if you want to think about that extra 9 appraisers for the 24/7 appraisal coverage, you know, we probably need a bigger office, but we could certainly work with that. That's all I've got for you, unless you have questions.
I got a question. So there's got to be a metric that says if you hire another person and you train them up, I don't know how long it takes to become an assessor, you know, or for that person. So it sounds like they're more than pay for themselves, and it puts more cash back to the county. I don't know why. Am I thinking wrong there, Brad? Or it makes sense to me to say let's hire somebody else
One of the issues there is because Curry County's property tax rate is so low. Really, we're the lowest property tax rate in the state of Oregon. Josephine County on paper has a lower permanent rate, but they're also levying for a new jail and whatnot, so they're actually levying more. But at 60 cents per thousand, all this new value isn't necessarily paying for the appraisal resource.
Okay.
It's a great benefit to all of the taxing districts, which is why a couple of years ago, and I reported to this committee, I had gone to the legislature to advocate for additional A&T funding for the state. We actually narrowed it down to where we had a Curry County pilot project that would have taken half of its funding from the state and half of its funding from the taxing districts in Curry County. That would have been to add another 1.5 FTEs in the assessor's office. We estimated it was going to cost $150,000, and that didn't make it through the legislature. Okay. And since it didn't last year, like I said, this committee granted us an extra resource. So, I mean, certainly if we had anything like the average tax rate for the state of Oregon, which is about $2.75 per thousand, then you could see, this appraisal resource paying for itself.
Okay.
More than paying for itself.
Good answer.
I mean, as it is,
we know that's not going to happen.
Curry County levies about $1.9 million in property taxes. We do all of the assessments and levies for the property taxes, and our overall cost to the general fund for assessment taxation is I think in around the $700,000 range. So we bring in well over $1 million more than we actually spend to collect property taxes.
Any other questions for Mr. Cohen? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we got 4 till. Got our new treasurer here. He can probably get this done.
You got your 10 minutes back.
He can get this done in 4 minutes.
I went way over the 7 minutes. Sheriff.
I can. Hi, David Barnes. I'm your new county treasurer. I've been in the job for about 6 minutes now, and I don't really have much to report. From what I understand, we're on budget, and things are going fine. The one thing I do want to bring up to this committee now, and will at your next meeting also, is that we are in dire need of a deputy treasurer in this county. We are operationally right now, I am behind the 8 ball trying to learn as much as I can about an old system, which is being replaced by a new system, which I then have to do the implementation of. And there's, I am on borrowed time with a trainer. So we need to have somebody else in this, somebody else who knows how to do this job besides just me. So that's really all I have to say.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Barnes?
Don't let him go just yet, Mr. Chair.
And that's it?
Hang on. Did you have something?
No, I hear what he's saying, but I think at this point we got to train you, and then you'll be the trainer. If we could ever do a deputy treasurer.
Correct.
So I hear what you're saying, but I don't have a
nobody has an answer. The treasurer asked a couple of years ago for a deputy. She was first denied by the administrator at the time, Clark Schroeder. It's been denied for the past 2 years when Ms. Schmelzer was the administrator or the director. And it's something that I'm just telling you, in terms of controls and continuity of the office, there needs to be somebody else who can pick up this office. If it wasn't me who came in here, I don't know if any of the other candidates would be able to do this the way I am able to do it, and we'd be in real deep trouble right now. So, yesterday there would have been nobody coming in to write the checks. So, something has to happen with that. There needs to be a backup to this position. So it's just not, it's fiscally not prudent to only have one person who can do a job. So, and I understand it's going to cost some money, but we have to find it somewhere. So.
Could you maybe vote? Were you next?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Boyce.
I think you called on me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have an outline that you're looking at? I mean, I know you probably haven't had any time to really think about it, but just how that could be structured, with a deputy and how it could work with the treasurer, and, just maybe even start that job description. I don't know if we have it on file from years back, or what your thoughts might be on that.
Like I said, I've been in this job for about 6 minutes now, and that's something that, for right now, I am looking at making sure that I understand enough of the system so that I can convert it over to the new system without any hitches and without any problems. I have not had a chance to I just spent 45 minutes on the phone with our investment advisor. It's the first exposure I've had to what our investment policy and strategies are. I am not prepared to talk about that yet. My primary goal right now is making sure that all of our that our money gets credited to the right account and our bills get paid on time. Okay. So, and once I'm comfortable with that, then we can talk about other things. We can talk about a job description. We can talk about our investment strategy. But for right now, this is my sole and primary focus.
And we do have a job description for the deputy treasurer on file, so I don't know that there's a whole lot of tweaking or anything that needs to go on there. As far as the deputy treasurer does go, we can talk more about that during budgeting season and as we're going through all of that. So, but I think as what you said at the beginning, that your budgets are on track, and we can see the budgets here, and they are tracking correctly, and it does all look good.
Mr. Barnes, you need some more time.
Don't
we all?
Yeah, exactly. I need an extra 2 set of eyes and an extra couple of hands and a few more keyboards to play on. So,
yeah.
But I'm giving it a shot. I'm doing what I can on it. I'm determined I'm going to succeed at it. So I have the skills. It's just a matter of learning the processes as they apply to the county.
Mr. Boyce.
Would it help if you just had the original accounting system, didn't have to do the transition as well?
It would be helpful, but it's, from what, I don't know enough about the new system yet, but anytime you convert from one system to another, it takes a long time. There's a lot of steps to it. It's not like going to the food store and buying whole milk instead of buying 2% milk. There's a lot involved with this. And, the list of things that I received last night of what the Summer Sears is assisting with this process, and the list of things that I received last night is just, there's still a lot of work to do with this, and like I said, I'm still trying to make sure that every day that all the transactions get put into the right accounts, money gets paid the right way, there's enough money for payroll, things like that. Next week is my first time with the tax distribution to the special districts, so, I'm just right now I just want to make sure that all this goes off without a hitch, and then I start worrying about converting it over to the new stuff, to the new system. So, I don't know enough about the new system yet. I wasn't involved in the trainings that happened. I had offered back last year, but that didn't happen. So, I'm playing catch up here, and the time between the time Mr. Hanscom said he wasn't going to do the job and the time I got the job is just all lost time. Yeah. That was very valuable, and that is very detrimental to me. So, but I'll get through it.
Mr. Herzog.
Just want to say thank you, and on my dime next week, I'll take you out to lunch.
Thank you very much.
You pick the time.
I don't know if I can accept it. I think I think I would have to spend under $25, and if you're taking me out to lunch, we're getting lobster, bud.
That's fine. That's fine.
The magic number is 50.
Okay, all right, cool.
And he can afford it. No.
You pick the day. You just let me know, and yeah. So I know you're under the gun. I thought my job was hard, but I don't think it's not nearly.
Okay.
And there's a couch in my office if you need to take a break. So.
I walk. I go out and I stroll around.
There you go.
If I have to. So, but I don't even have time to do that right now.
Yeah.
But let me let you guys take your break, and I'm going to get back to work if that's all.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Brad.
All right.
See you later.
Thanks.
We'll recess till 10:15.
Okay. Don't forget to take your.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset, while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response That's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the Fire Chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and rested the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties
Are we up?
Yep.
Are we on? All right, we'll continue with our Curry County Budget Commission meeting. And next up is our district attorney. Josh, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Josh Spansell, Curry County DA. In going through my budget, it's fairly simple, at least to my eye. Let me know if you don't think so. The main budget, district attorney's budget, we're well within our budget. We are actually pretty low. Main reason for that is we are still down one deputy DA, and so that salary, there's still a lot budgeted that is not being paid. We are going to be looking to fill that. Currently, my salaries and benefits and all that is paid by the state. It's not paid by the county. I have a senior deputy DA who his salary, benefits, and everything is paid by the DSART grant, which I'll get into later. And so I have one new deputy, Cody Hawkins, who his salary is paid by the county. That's the only employee or DA employee that is paid by the salary, and then my other staff, which we're full with, which I'm very happy about. With all the other staff, we're just down one deputy DA. So everything, we're well within. With COVID, we didn't do any of the trainings we normally do. There's one child abuse summit that's in Portland every year that we send at least one deputy DA to, if not multiple, that didn't happen last year. It's probably not going to happen this year. It's always held in April, so I doubt that that's going to happen this year. Other trainings, summer conference, DA conference, the whole office usually goes to that. That didn't happen. That's in August. That may or may not happen this year. So we haven't used any of our mileage. Haven't used really much of our training budget at all. So that has obviously saved us some money. Hopefully, in the future, things will get back to normal and we'll be using that again, because those are, especially a child abuse summit, that's valuable training that it's every year in Portland, and people from across the country come to that. It's a week long. So that one's very important, at least for our domestic violence, sexual abuse prosecutor. So, there's other trainings that I'll send a deputy DA to, like DUI trainings and domestic violence trainings that happen in Salem every once in a while. But other than that, nothing really different happening with our budget. It's, in the coming cycle, I'm going to look at my budget and I'll probably move some money around, maybe take some away from some line items and put some more in other line items, because there's some that are getting close, and then there's some that aren't even close to being at budget right now. So I'm going to look at that before the next budget cycle, but it's not going to be anything big. I don't anticipate asking for anything more money-wise than we have now for the upcoming budget. The law library, everything's on track there. We have some subscriptions to books and periodicals that we have. It's kind of a yearly thing, so that budget is pretty easy to figure out what it's going to be. I'm also going to be looking at some of those subscriptions to see if we really need those or not, and see if we can maybe get some other ones that are more topical that people will actually use. For the grants, the Victim Assistance Grant, the CFA grant. I was told by the Finance Committee that if you're, or the Finance, Cena Crook, if you look at these, you have to combine both of these grants to get the real number, which is on the third line. That's the real number. Both of these are well under budget. And there's a new grant cycle for these that's going to start, it's either September or October of this year. So we're only at 22% of this one, 47% of this one, and it's pretty under budget, and a lot of that is training again as well for victim assistance. We haven't been using those dollars. The DSART grant, this is with a partnership with the Oasis Shelter Home. They applied for this grant, and part of the grant was to pay for a deputy DA, which in my office is Kevin Kelly. He has, I think, 13, 14 years experience as a prosecutor now. He focuses on domestic violence and sexual assault cases, which are obviously major cases. Some of the most major crimes we get in Curry County are sexual assault cases. And so he's very good, and this grant pays his salary. And it also pays for a part-time domestic violence and sexual assault investigator, Ron Lindley. And so they're both able to focus on domestic violence and sexual assault. And so that's very good. And this grant, the DSART grant, was renewed in November of 2020. So we have another 3 years of that. So that's good. Other than that, I don't think I have much. Like I said, I don't expect to be asking for anything more in the coming budget cycle. I think, in my time, which has been short, and in Mr. Dial's time before me, I think we stayed in budget pretty much every time. We never went over, so I don't expect that to happen. My office manager, Stacy DeLong, she's very diligent in making sure that we stick with the budget. So.
Josh, I have a question. With the recent proposition that passed regarding narcotics possession,
yes.
Could there be any financial impacts to your office from that?
Off the top of my head, I think the criminal fines account, which is one of the grants we get for the victim's assistance, that could have an impact on that. That's a fairly low dollar amount. Our office doesn't get a lot of money from criminal fines or anything like that. We saw a big drop off in cases when simple possession was reduced to a misdemeanor. So now that it's a violation, we're going to see another significant drop off. Hopefully we can focus more on the delivery and things like that, the felony crimes. But yeah, I can say a lot about Measure 110.
Right.
As it comes to the budget, I don't see any ramifications.
Yeah, and I don't know how we don't expect property crimes to increase, right, and violent crimes to increase from that. So that prosecution burden may increase somewhat, but it's hard to tell. It's early.
It is, and I think in the next couple of years we're going to see what the numbers are. And yeah, I think you're 100% right. We're going to see a rise in property crimes, definitely, and violent crimes.
Yeah, I think the passing of that measure will impact this county's law enforcement in many ways, financially in many ways.
And like you said earlier, I mean, we're a border county, and this is the only state that has legalized street drugs, basically. So why would you stay, if you're in Delaware County, why would you stay there? Why wouldn't you come here?
Yep.
So yeah, obviously, I think it's going to be very bad, but the time will tell.
Yep. Commissioner Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Office space, just now that, in the movie made the year or two ago, everything okay, plenty of space?
Yeah, I think so.
Roofs?
No, we have one of our light fixtures, the top comes off of it every once in a while, but that's the only complaint at this time. We did get more space. We took over the juvenile department, and they moved to our spot. it was nice when we were in the old spot because everybody was in the same space, and so you interact a lot more. Now I'm across the hall, so I have to pop into the office to see what's going on. But that's really the only issue. We have more space now. We have a nice area for our witnesses during trials, or a meeting space for us. So that's nice to have. Before they were just sitting in our office or in the hallway, but now they have a space where they don't have to be there, so it's nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions?
Thanks for your hard work.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Ms. Lang.
Thanks, guys.
Hello.
Howdy.
Good day.
Want me just to jump in?
Giddy up.
Okay. I'll start with revenue. I'm Wendy Lang with the Juvenile Department. Not a lot of changes. COVID has affected us in revenue with state parks. We had $2,500 in there where our crews go out and do community service. Due to COVID, that has been shut down, so we lost that revenue.
Yep.
The next one down, other community service, there's about $1,700 left in there, and unfortunately, we have recently lost our contract with Curry Community Health. Curry Community Health was a huge sponsor in the Juvenile Department to the tune of about $15,000 a year. And not only will we no longer be doing community service for their properties, the cash grant of $12,000 will no longer be received either. We get down to ODOT. There's some good news that happened in ODOT. Waylon Summers, who runs our community service program, we have a contract with ODOT. It was $5,000 this year where we go do sidewalks, we take our kids out, we provide all the everything we need. And we did such a good job. They came to us this year and said, there's some money to do litter patrol where the kids actually get paid to do litter patrol. So we grabbed that. They gave us a grant of $15,000. We hired 4 youth, and they worked for about 4 weeks. It was kind of a last minute throw together, see if we can clean the roads, hire some kids. Went so well, they threw another $6,000 at us and said, to the end of the year, can you just try to keep up with it? We did that. So we ended up bringing in about $21,000 for ODOT contract, and did so well that they're talking about maybe giving us the entire thing next year, which would be it would bring money into our department, but it would also mean that we would employ probably about 6 kids at this point for about 8 weeks during the summer. So it'd be a good program. Our state money this year, it's not going to be touched, and it's basically figured out. Every county in the state gets juvenile justice money, and it's figured out on your population. So it's pretty set, and we've confirmed that through the end of this year. The next line item would be grant other. Working with finance to get everything updated on our grants. But when we saw COVID happening and not sure where we were going to get funds, and it's affected our youth tremendously, not being able to be social. So we had reached out to CCH, and we got a $12,000 grant from them, which was direct drug and alcohol services. We do education, we do UAs. We went to All Care. We needed laptops, and we needed more UA kits. We needed more testing. They gave us $3,000. Reached out to Curry Health Foundation. We don't have sex offender treatment in Curry County, which means any of our kids that need sex offender treatment have to go to Josephine or Coos. Very expensive, and insurance does not cover it. So Curry Health Foundation gave us $18,000 for treatment. We've already used that up. And Advanced Health stepped in and gave us $2,400 for evaluation 1. Sex offender evaluation is $2,400 or is $1,200 before any services hit. So that was the grants that we brought in this year. I'm hoping that at least 3 of those, they're the smaller grants, but I'm hoping we can reach out next year as soon as they're all spent and reapply for those. We will have utilized all of them and can show the need, probably more so after effects of all this next year. And then the only thing down there, I think everything's right on track. Public health is the last line item in our revenue, and it's just a matter of those dollars being transferred. Our department's doing part of the work for public health where we do the drug and alcohol and tobacco prevention, so that's just a matter of that being transferred. So with our ODOT, even though we've lost some community service programs, we'll have an additional $37,000 in revenue this year if we don't see any big changes. Let's see, expenditures. In our irregular salaries, you'll see we're over about $7,400, and that was those youth that worked the summer program. That was to pay their salaries. The only other thing that's over, I think, in salaries is that health reimbursement, and I did check with finance, and that's a union negotiation for some extra health care or something like that. Juvenile boarding, we budgeted $23,000, and you'll see there's still a large chunk of that. Based on COVID, we renegotiated our contract a little bit, dropped it down to $10,000. In the juvenile world, we're really not trying to lock kids up anymore. We're really trying to do community service, maybe electronic monitor, daily check-ins, more UAs, more services. So every year we try to bring that contract down. If it stays like this year, we'll probably have some extra funds left in there to be able to roll over or use on other things. Office supplies, we've just about used all our office supplies, but COVID expenses, we're running the Brookings office, Gold Beach office. In order to get everything up to date, we've had to do lots of cleaning supplies, different desk space, that kind of stuff, but we should be fine. There's a couple things that are over, but again, we're working with finance to put them in different departments with the last minute change in community service work and litter patrol. It gave us added expenses, so it's just a matter of getting everything in the right category. With the savings in boarding, we are looking at purchasing LiveScan. Fingerprints now, the state of Oregon is requiring that everything be done LiveScan, and we are still rolling ink in our department. We can't take our youth over to where adults are being held, so it all has to be done in our department. And they've given us a warning for probably the last 5 years that says you really need to go LiveScan, and it's about $5,000 to $6,000. But I'm thinking with the savings in juvenile boarding that is something we'll be able to do this year. And then the biggest deal was our supplemental budget. Due to COVID last year, we had ordered a Durango in like June, and then it shut down, and they weren't even building Durangos anymore. And then it was going to be August, and then I had to have it by September to be in the budget. And I think we had set aside almost $42,000 that we saved out of last year's budget to buy the Durango. Long story short, we got it in December. It's here, but it has no plates on it, so we can't drive it. So that might be March. I don't know. We're working with DMV every day to try to figure it out. But it was only $28,000, and that's with half a cage. The other half of the cage is coming, but I submitted all the information to be a supplemental because it was not in this budget, but we did have the $42,000 out of last year's budget that went back into the general fund, and that's what the supplemental budget would be asking. Just 28 of that would go towards the new Durango. But other than that, there's not a lot of changes. We'll be fine this year. We'll be fine. Like I said, the work that the community service crew has done and picking up a couple extra contracts and the grants, we were able to, our UAing of kids is quadruple what it's been in the past. They can't get UA'd at treatment. They can't even see somebody in person at treatment, so we're having to be pretty creative. With our Brookings office, the POs are working out of their cars. Still providing services, but budget-wise, I don't see an issue. We should be coming in under budget and actually being able to do a couple things that we really need to do.
Wendy, the number of kids under your umbrella, has COVID changed that?
Absolutely, our numbers have drastically reduced.
Okay.
And that's what we're seeing around the state. The directors, we meet virtually once a month, and everybody is seeing the same thing. I think we went the first 5 months with one referral.
Really?
Well, school is the big,
Right.
School is the big deal. And so we're all kind of preparing. I think when school's back open, like fully open, I think we're going to be flooded with referrals. And it wasn't just, drugs in school or violence in school. That's where teachers would recognize there was something going on, or somebody would report stuff.
Yeah.
So we've seen a huge decline in that. Where it kind of weighs out for us is we at first thought, oh, well, this will be a break. We can do some extra training. Our caseload isn't so big, but the kids we have now, they're in crisis. I mean, we're getting calls from parents whose kids probably would have never seen the juvenile system, and they're the kids who are in 3 sports a year, straight A students, and their world just got ripped apart because now they're not going to be a wrestling champ, and there's no scholarship, and they're sitting home in front of a computer all day, and it's just, it's devastating, the kind of the referrals we're seeing right now, referrals we would have never seen before. So they're really struggling. So we're trying. We've probably had more kids. We're doing a Transport Thursday, which puts 3 Curry County kids in residential treatment right now, and that's usually not. We usually have 1 Curry, maybe 2 a year, but right now we have 3 Curry kids who will be in residential treatment.
Where's that, Wendy?
We have one. There's one in Roseburg and there's one in Prineville, and those are drug and alcohol treatment, and those we'll use up that bed. We're going to Prineville on Thursday, and then we have another mental health facility from Douglas County Juvenile Department. DHS is actually paying for it, but it's one of our youth. So, so like I said, and Josh kind of talked on the 110. It included juveniles, and a lot of people didn't even know that part of it.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
So, we can't get them into treatment right now. There's 2 places we can use, and you're usually like a 2-week to a 2-month wait. I mean, if anybody thinks that a juvenile is going to call an 800 number, and that it's worse right now. I mean, if you get an MIP, you have a $260 fine, and you lose your driving privileges. But if you have methamphetamine, you call it an 800 number.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So, but there's a team on the juvenile world that is trying to work and figure out how all that will happen, because we want to take a positive approach. Can't change what happened, but we want to take care of our Curry kids. Well, all the states are saying the same thing. Let's still get them into the juvenile system. Let's still try to get them help. Let's still process, even though it's a violation, and see what we can do. Because we're seeing positive UAs that we haven't seen before. Pills, cough syrup. They're just struggling. They're really struggling, but a lot of good community partners that have given us some money and that kind of thing. So we'll hopefully by the first of the fiscal year, things are different, because we'll pretty much have used all our resources by then.
Yeah, and I imagine there's been a lot of other things going unreported too, with our schools being closed, and when they open, probably be inundated with that.
Well, and you just nailed it. We'll go out just on a prevention case, and by the time we're done, we got, parents are having issues, and there's not this, and there's not school was, for a lot of our kids, home is sometimes where, the things go down. The things go down, and that's where the struggles happen. So school is where they get away. It's where they get a warm meal. They can talk to friends. They can talk to other people. They can talk about their problems. They don't have to worry about the trauma that's going on at home. So, I think we're going to feel the effect for a while.
Yeah, school's a lot more than just education, that's for sure.
Yeah, and for youth, we had a meeting this morning for our youth not to do face-to-face counseling and drug and alcohol treatment. It's not, It's, it's a whole different avenue. So we are working on that right now. We're going to put our kids in a place, and then the provider can come online, but we'll have our kids in a confidential setting where we can give them support. We're doing boys and girls groups right now, just trying to do a little bit of normalcy, but.
Thank you.
But that's kind of it.
Commissioner Boyce.
One quick question. The legislature is in session, and you mentioned juvenile justice, that you're the funds that come from that program good for 2021? Reasonably confident
Good
you
through
are.
the end of June of 2021.
Okay,
We've already
yeah.
been told there will most likely be cuts the next biennium.
Oh, that's why I asked.
Yep, we've already been told. Again, it goes by, population, but we get, it's a person and a half is basically, we use all ours for personnel. So we are looking at a small, so with that, the loss of CCH, we'll have to be pretty creative. We'll be pretty creative next year and see what we can do. We have some things rolling. We've had, you hooked us up with the Forest Service. So we're going to do a volunteer contract with the Forest Service. And if we can prove that we can get out and do some work with our kids, then they'll do a contract that's for hire. And, our crew makes $300 a day to go do work. So they're looking at us helping setting campgrounds back up, and which I'd rather have our kids out doing stuff like that where they're learning a trade, than picking up our litter and washing signs and stuff like that. So we're trying to be super creative about us bringing in resources. I think, that's one thing that community service can do is we can bring in some resources that will help offset the money we use. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. It's doing some stuff like that.
Then you
And
said
State Parks, same way. State Parks wants us to build a bridge, and then they're going to let the kids camp in the park, teach them that what outside's all about, and giving back and making it good. Plus, we're providing a service. So.
Yeah, a lot of people here believe that getting kids outside working with their hands is so therapeutic and improving the odds that they will catch on, and you really are making a difference there, a tremendous difference.
Thank you,
We
Wendy.
have a pretty good team. Thank you, Mary.
My question is just for the group, or it's just a comment, if I could be recognized. But my understanding with this new change in the law to decriminalize all this stuff, part of it was based on, a social policy, but I thought the other part was based on the expense of enforcing these laws. So if there's going to be a large savings at the state level for, the enforcement of these what they consider low-level criminal laws, it seems like somebody should be communicating to the state legislature to reallocate those enforcement funds to groups like juvenile, counties, et cetera. So I hope that's happening at the state level. So. And
like I said, there's a legislative group, and it's my understanding that this bill is so crazy that I don't even know where, nobody really knows where to start. That there are so many different angles on how. What treatment facility is going to pop up in 2 months? You're supposed to be able to call an 800 number and get into treatment. Ooh, where are they all coming from? And at one time, Oregon ranked like 3rd in the need for drug and alcohol, but we were number 47th in providing drug and alcohol services. So, we can only hope that that they realize that sooner rather than later. I think the hospitals are going to be flooded with issues from this. Also, I think they're going to be the first ones screaming of they're going to have them just lined up at their door.
Yeah.
No other resources. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, thank you,
All right,
Wendy.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Director Lang.
Yes.
All right, is Richard out there?
No, Tony Vowdy.
Tony.
You're up.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Tony Vowdy from Veteran Services. So, I believe it's page 89. So my budget's pretty cut and dry for the most part. As I see it, you guys might have a different opinion, but I get lottery contributions from Measure 96. It's 1.5% of the net of the lottery. That's what the first item from ODVA is, the $85,000. That's where majority of my budget is generated. There was $23,000 carryover last year due to I was out and COVID hit at the same time, so we didn't spend as much, so it was carry forward. And then the county contribution was $71,000. When you go to my wages, everything is there with the exception of the irregular wages were over, and that's where those restricted funds, that are $23,000, are going to be going. I got to work with Cena on that. They're going to transfer those over because those were wages for the previous year for my assistant. I had one part-time. So that will go into that, and then we won't be over with it. the years following or moving forward, we're going to have to either get another grant or some more contributions from either ODVA or other services to see what we can do to keep her full-time, because she just went full-time, I think it was last month. I mean, everything else is pretty much cut and dry. All the expenses, aside from IGS, doesn't really change. You know, the only thing that will change this following year is I have a $12,000 replacement for a vehicle. That'll be paid off with Rich. So that'll be an additional 12 grand that'll be back in my budget. And that's basically it for the most part. Everything else stays the same. Might increase small dollars, but most of the services are pretty much within a $10 fluctuation for bills and stuff. Cell phones, everything. Any questions or concerns?
Well, I was just going to say, Brad and I went down and met with Tony. I didn't know him, and he's doing a great job down there. Appreciate all the effort. The office, you know, inside is really good, and you're working on the outside.
Yes, sir.
And so, good job.
Thank
you. Mr. Pash?
That was my question. How is the work down there going on the outside, and have the contractors found, you know, we're still looking at, is it more expensive to just tear the building down and rebuild a new one, or purchase a new building, or fix that one?
So I'm working with Summer on that. Summer was trying to retrieve some information from the contractor that came, I think it was about 4 months ago. I wasn't in the office, and Julie Schmoser, our previous administrator, did an after-hour visit where they walked through it. Supposedly there's something about a cracked foundation. I haven't got the report. So our foundation, most of it is actually cinder block. So I was like historically joking, saying there's a crack every 12 inches. But I don't know where there's a crack in the foundation. Otherwise, there is a crack in the sidewalk in the front. There is some dry rot. With the previous contractors that were there before that were just looking at re-siding the building, I believe it was like $62,000 to do what was left, to do the back door and re-side the rest of it. And they were going to have to remove some panels and replace them, but that was encompassing everything. They were looking at about 60, 70 grand, which would have been through the maintenance department or this CGBD grant, possibly.
Because I did see, I remember seeing the report on the foundation and all that, and that there was some serious issues with the foundation, and that's where they were trying to decide, is this now demo it and redo it, or whatever.
And so, like I said, Summer, I've asked her numerous times. She's been trying to get it from Julie. She's been working hard on trying to retrieve it. She found the contractor. We were actually just talking about the other day. She found who the contractor is, and she's trying to get the report so she can put it together so we can all look at it. Because I have never saw that.
Thanks. That's all I have.
And you've been under the building.
Yeah, I've been in it for just about 4 years now, I believe.
No, but I mean, you shared with me that you put some lines into there, and
we lost IT services due to the IT director shifting and Coos Curry Electric becoming the contractor. It was easier for me to just move the Cat 5 lines for some of them myself than to have them come down and do it. And so, I mean, there's some stuff under there. It didn't look horrible. I mean, I've crawled under houses before. I sweated copper, so I did plumbing, and I was like, I've seen a lot worse.
Okay.
Everything for the most part underneath that I saw looked solid, but I didn't want to be under a morgue too long.
Yeah.
You know, the joke is people were dying to get in there before, they still are today.
Right.
He's actually got some veterans that have helped down there too.
Yeah. Yes.
Put on the nail belt.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Any more questions? All right, thanks, Tony.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
You guys have a
Tony.
great day. Thank you.
We're a little ahead of schedule, but I think
Richard's long-winded. Richard's long-winded anyway.
Beware. Good day, Commissioners and Budget Committee. And so, I think I'll just start with overall, there's 10 budgets we're looking at here today, and overall they're in line, and we're waiting for some transfers in revenue, but I think it has to do with the new accounting system, and I'm not worried about anything. There's a possibility I will be asking for a supplemental budget for towers. Yesterday, I was kind of notified by FEMA that our grant application I've been working on for 8 months is going to be denied, and they asked me to put in for a different grant, and I'm done. And so I've been working on it for 8 months. So that generator, it's a $50,000 generator, so I'm going to try to do the work in-house, and I'll be presenting to you in the next couple board meetings, trying to make that happen. But if we start with operations, the number one, there's revenue transfers that are pending and running behind, but got some good news and bad news. The shared motor vehicle tax and DMV, that's running, I'm thinking about $250,000 low because of COVID-19. So, you know, we had put in 2.3 million. It's probably gonna be around 2 million. Well, unsure still. It bounces around from what I'm seeing. We had miscellaneous revenue come in from our interagency chip seal project with the state where we chip sealed Carpenterville, and some other small project of $84,000. The STIP fund exchange, that's in process. We'll be receiving that actually it's $271,000 from the state here in the next few months.
Shop 271, you said?
Yeah, it's 271,000
It says
and change.
278 here.
Yeah, it's a little bit less.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, and then shop revenue's down a little bit. Then we have another reimbursement miscellaneous. This reimbursement is when we were paving up north, we reached out to City of Port Orford if they wanted any of their roads paved, and they piggybacked on our quotes, and so they're just reimbursing our cost for that work. That was $97,000. The one big hit that we're going to have is the reimbursement for ODOT Federal Highway. The Morrill Bridge project, we hit a major roadblock with that with State Historic Preservation Office. It ended up being where our bridge site is a tribal site, and during our archaeological investigation, we found items. So, but it is moving forward, but slower, and so I don't see that $1 million coming in this year, but I only see a few $100,000 going out for engineering and archaeological.
Which bridge is that, Rich?
Morrill Bridge. It's at the dead end, the very dead end of Flores Lake, or Flores River Road. And
Flores Creek.
Flores Creek.
The one that goes east.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 miles back in the hills. Our right-of-way ends like 10 feet past the bridge. So anyways, but that project, it's moving forward. Things are going well. South Coast Lumber owns all the property, and we're currently securing the right-of-way and construction easements. So everything's going good, but delayed. Next one, I have projected $500,000. I'm projecting now we're going to end up receiving about $1 million because at the time I did this budget, I was expecting $1.1 million in these 3 big FEMA projects. It ended up being about $1.7 million after going through all the governmental red tape. Good news. The best news is on the road capital improvement. At the time when I did this budget, I was expecting only about $1.5 million in rollover funds, but we had over $5 million in rollover funds. And that's because SRS funds came in that we weren't expecting, and there was extra additional governmental money that came into our budget that turned into rollover funds. So I'm expecting that to not touch the road capital fund this year if everything continues as it is. The next big line item is salaries and personal services. We're running under 9% or 8%, and we've been running very short-handed. And you'll see that our regular salaries are running under, in but our overtime is up, and so some of this has been taken up with overtime work, but also some of it's been taken up with the state highway department helped us with our chip seal with their staff. With everything, that's looking good. Then going down to expenditures, the one that sticks out to me that's 83% or 84% is pro services contractors. We did a big project down there on Checo River, the Riverview Trail for Loeb Park. That's completed. And also we had to do some public improvements to support the Rogue Pacific subdivision here in Gold Beach. But we have one small project, so I expect to come in budget or under budget in that. The other one that really sticks out for me is rental equipment. We're way over. Our jet rod trailer broke down, and we've been renting Vector trucks from a couple agencies. And I'll be reaching out to the board about that in next year's budget. The other one that going down, I see we're over, is on our culverts, road culverts. Some of this had to do with the storm improvements we needed to perform to support the Rogue Pacifica subdivision that went in. And also Lower Harbor Road storm drains. So these things were unexpected. But overall, I think it's going to be a washout because there's other line items we're running under. And overall in this budget right now, we're running about 8% under budget. So any questions on the 115 budget? Okay, we'll go to the next one, the road fund. This is the one that everyone's really concerned with, including the road department's one of our biggest concerns is that, and we're, like I was saying, we were planning on pulling 4.2 million out of there this year for our CIP projects. And, but due to the rollover funds that were brought to my attention by CENA, we may not need to do that. So we'll maintain that $25 million in the road fund. So that's great news.
Indeed.
Big news.
Then the next one is bike and footpath. This is just a real small fund that we use every year. It's 1% of the state motor vehicle fuel tax, and we do our bike lane striping with those funds. And so that striping came in under budget by $125 basically. So we're looking good. That's done. The roadside improvement fund's the next one, and that is money that was put away by a developer for capital improvements on Titus Lane, and we're going to be expending. This fund will disappear this next fiscal year as we will be doing a complete overlay of Titus Lane, and this will cover most of the cost. The general vehicle service fund is doing well. It's typically right now, this is all the vehicles that belong to general service, including the sheriff's department, everything but road department. We're currently running 19% under budget for maintaining all the vehicles. So that's doing well. The next one is the vehicle replacement fund. This is all the sheriff's vehicles and general service vehicles. And we're just waiting for some, everything's looking good. We're just waiting for some transfers. And I expect that to be in budget. Self-insurance for general services. We're running under budget. We normally have like a 10-year average of about $9,000 a year if you had divided out. And so there's been no real impact to that this year, so we're under budget. Self-insurance for all road department heavy equipment and vehicles. We very seldom dip into this, but it's there in case we have a catastrophic issue. And so far we've just had a few broken windows through doing our maintenance activities, and that happens every year. Yeah, because our equipment, we're chopping trees and stuff, it's throwing chips, and sometimes it hits windows.
Probably that mower operator.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a tree limb through my excavator window a couple of weeks ago, so I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one, this is the one that really concerns me, and we're still working on it and updating our agreements with Day Wireless for our end users. And this one here is one of my biggest concerns. And so, but right now it's running okay, other than I had a generator blow up a year ago. Cape Blanco. It's an old diesel generator. Actually, it's not that old, but the new fuels, diesel fuels, had gelled up all the injection system and ruined the motor. It needs about $9,000 worth of repairs. I could buy a brand new generator for $18,000, but all the labor and equipment, electrician, I'm thinking $30,000-$40,000, and that's something I'm going to be reaching out to you in the next, 2 to 4 weeks about supporting the road department moving forward with that work. Bonneville Power Association, they're connected to this tower, and our agreement says that we will maintain backup emergency power, and they constantly have a signal saying, hey, that's not working. And so I reached out to them and let them know as well that I'm going to just try to replace this generator here in the next few months. That's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Mr. Boyce.
Page 26 on your vehicle replacements. That's always one that interests me. With all the less travel and just less mileage, and you said even your shop activity was down just a little bit. Do you feel like is there a schedule that we're going to replace some vehicles anytime soon?
Yeah, there is, and it's from that workshop we had a couple years ago where, forget the name of the company, the board brought the company in here.
Enterprise.
They
Yes.
came in, and we were looking at maybe them taking over our fleet and the maintenance and sales and procurement. And the only thing that I didn't do that they do is sell vehicles on a 3-year flip, because we're able to buy at a governmental rate, but after 3 years we can sell on a public rate. And so that's what we chose to do at that time, 2 years ago. So we plan on selling several vehicles in the next year or two that we bought, a year or two ago, 3 ago. So yeah, we plan on doing that. And overall, we're thinking it's going to save us money in the long run, because we're not going. By the time these vehicles need any maintenance or repairs, they're already be gone, and we're looking at maybe. It might cost a few $1,000s to flip these vehicles. And so we're going to try it, see how it lands. And that's what we're doing, except for vehicles like, the sheriff's department, in some of these other departments, they put a lot of cages in them and different items. And those vehicles, I don't really see us flipping. And also with the road department, there's some pickup trucks that I might have real expensive toolboxes, and there's a lot of, it's not just a standard vehicle, probably won't flip those as well either. But if it's a standard vehicle in the building department, juvenile, road department, we plan on flipping them at 3 years. Where we'll go ahead and project out I'll find out what the cost is for the new vehicle. We'll project what we could sell the vehicles we have, and I'll reach out to the board at that time and make a decision.
What was the prior cycle of buying?
Hold on to them till the wheels fell off,
Okay.
and then buy a new set of wheels.
Literally.
Yeah.
All right.
And just so you know, the way we do this is, because of the government way we get to buy them, we get them at a pretty good discount. So in about 3 years, you're selling them right at the warranty expiration for the general warranty, but you've still got a 2-year warranty on the drivetrain and those kind of things. We can basically sell them for what they cost us in 3 years because of the discount we get.
Okay.
So Mr. Christensen and I sat and worked that out, and that was the plan, to try and do that. We did reduce the motor pool. We got rid of some of the old vehicles, and I think we still have a few old vehicles. I know Commissioner Boyce has one that he drives. That's one of the old Tauruses.
Yep.
And we got public health. We got a few vehicles back with public health when we took that back, which I don't know how much they're in use now either. We haven't looked at that, but the motor pool could become a zero fund or a zero sum to the county if we sell them on time, as we should.
Provided we take good care of them, they're not full of dents and dings, and we take good care of our stuff, and our shop maintains them in really good condition, and so yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Commissioner Boyce?
It's also going to be a question that we need to assess on how many vehicles do we need, and how many, you know, just replacement, moving them, old, new, or not new, but unneeded, or if we establish that. And I'm interested in the sheriff's department too, you know, what kind of condition and how soon we're going to need to be looking at a rotation there.
We did that for the road department, Commissioner Pash and I, for the road department and general service, everything except for sheriff's department. And so we did downsize a little bit, and we really looked at it. And last year, you recall, we had, I think it was $125,000 in revenue just in the road department for vehicles we sold and equipment. And so that was part of that downsizing. And it was also part of equipment replacement as well, to be honest.
But there was some cars in that 125,000 figure.
There
or pickups.
Was
reduction.
A few things, yeah. One
Okay.
is like a tree chipper, as I recall. I can't remember all the items we downsized, but yes, there was some pieces
Okay.
of equipment.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I have a statement. You do a great job in this county. I mean, this whole board is 100% with you. You really do a great job, and we appreciate because you do go out of your way to make things happen, and it's appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate all your support too, and you know, let's we'll just keep trying to make it happen. Keep trying to find revenue.
Oi.
Thank
Oi.
you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We got a history.
We're moving right along, a little bit ahead of schedule. Is Chet out there?
Hi, Chet.
We ready?
Come on in. You're up.
Ready up.
Brad, John, commissioners, hi everybody.
Well, how come I don't
had
get
to
a
do that. I
name?
haven't heard anybody else do that yet.
Okay.
You fall under the commissioners, Chris. This will be my first time doing this here, so obviously I'm going to ask everybody to kind of help me through it. I've tried to watch a couple of them before me today to try and help navigate through this. I guess I'm just going to hit on what I feel excuse me, is where we're running in the negatives, in case anybody has any questions or comments. Every one of them other than 603 and 610 are all ones that were past budget amounts set by past budget years. And with things in the way we've been changing things in maintenance, they're not anything that I'm worried about at this point, and I have monies in other light items to fill them voids. I would hope that everybody would understand 603 supplies to janitorial and understand why we're out like that. I mean, COVID has just buried this community. We weren't prepared. It's like we like to have been. Other than that, again, the non-capital, which is 610, is it? I apologize. I was trying to shut my phones off before we come in too.
Hang 'em high.
Non-capital equipment ended up falling under supplies we bought for COVID suppression, sanitizing, cleaning, the backpack outfits that you guys have seen us wearing around to sanitize. And then we also allocated some for the Sheriff's Department and the South County Annex. So those were those big expenses are at. Other than that, unless I've missed something that you guys know of or haven't witnessed or wasn't thorough enough, we are looking pretty good. And I hope everybody understands also I've been very reserved and careful with the budget this year because this will be my first full budget cycle in this position. And I have kind of tried to hold back and only get what we need or something that would improve the way we do business in the maintenance department. But on a whole, I'm very happy with, I mean, I couldn't ask anything else from a maintenance department. These folks are just driving themselves as hard as we possibly humanly can in the hours, you know, we've got to work to try and stay up on it. So other than that, I'll take any questions you may have or comments, concerns.
Pray for sunshine.
Yeah, that too. Some of you know some of the other ordeals we're dealing with right now, but that's besides this, weather related. Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, I'm gonna say I did better than everybody else that came before me, so you guys gotta throw me at least one.
There you go.
Are you really gonna be that nice to me since this is my first budget cycle?
I'm actually good.
You know, it's not really related, Mr. Chair, if I may, but I know you and Tad have spent quite a bit of time at the VSO office in Brookings, and you know, we're looking at this potential grant and the condition of building. It just come up a bit ago, so I mean, we could talk about that offline. I'm just curious what your perspective is on that.
I guess I didn't catch the comments that you said, Cor.
On the Veterans Railroad, that entire building and the project there.
Okay, now I know.
mean, you're pretty familiar with that, I think. So.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, you know, looking down the road, you just heard VSO Vowdy mention that, wow, yeah, it's a little questionable on the foundation, and then you know, the parking is an issue there, but the
parking definitely.
Yeah, but the location is pretty good for what his people need to deal with, you know, generally on a daily basis.
I can't honestly answer that. I don't ever get into those kind of conversations with Tony, Mr. Bowdy. The conversations that always end up coming about to maintenance is, can you fix this? Hey, how can we get, you know, this to work, etc. So as far as being usable to the public, I would say so, but that's just my personal opinion outside of work here. It definitely needs, like the rest of the buildings here, some preventative maintenance, some age care, some updates. Parking would probably be the next big one, I'd say, if any issue I've seen.
Sure. Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Super easy.
Right. I can take that. That's easy all day. But thank you guys for your time.
All right.
Again, I hope that was answered everybody's questions or comments where we're at. Oh, and I guess if I didn't say that, the over budgeting amount in the janitorial and the non-capital, as I understand this right, that money will be coming back to this department in the amounts of the COVID covered items in that coverage. So this is not money we're just going to lose out on. It will just be coming back, as I understand it, towards the end of this cycle year whenever we get them supplements.
Okay.
So
Reimbursement,
yeah. Thank you.
Makes sense.
So that's where that's at right now.
Good job, Chad.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Chad.
guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, we're going to get done early today.
Yes, we are.
Good morning, Commissioners, Budget Committee. Anthony Durock, Curry County Parks. I know Chet had mentioned this was his first time doing it. Same thing with myself. So I'm going to try to keep it fairly brief. And I'd like to also state that I wasn't involved with creating this budget. This budget was already created when I started. So, but with that being said, we're still in line. Everything's looking good. So the materials and services expenditures, based off of the 50%, we're at 41.2. And then moving right along, our revenue, once again, based off of the 50%, we're actually up pretty much 110% for the whole year. And everything's in line. The personal services expenditures are 49.4, so everything's looking in line and on track, and revenues are up, so we're actually doing really well, and I anticipate us doing, even better once the season picks up, and there's a lot of things in play.
Mr. Huddle.
Thanks. One question I had, I think, is for Director Rickert. And Anthony, I know you said you didn't prepare your budget. I think on the revenue side, there's some property sales figures in there. We had budgeted to receive like X dollars of property sales, and it was just property sales general. And then we had receipts of property sales, and we had it in two different categories. Those two categories, one said Boyce Cope and one said Lobster Creek. I'm just assuming, and I don't know, that we're not expecting another property sale. So somehow those are going to all go into the same, category or something like that. Maybe they do in revenues, but and Anthony's. I'm just asking a question if that's just a housekeeping matter for bookkeeping or what. And Brad's nodding his head, but
yeah,
go ahead,
Anthony. I could go over that. So like I said, I wasn't involved with this budget, but I believe that they did that, just anticipating possible sales, because, we're always looking to potentially bring in more revenue. And that specific line item that you had mentioned, there was, allocated 10,000. They reserved that. And like you had mentioned, other property sales were already put into place and sold. And depending on the location of those properties, those funds were, allocated or set to specific parks. They're already dedicated to those parks. So that revenue, that money will be spent on those parks specifically. But yes, like I said, I wasn't involved with creating this budget and going through it, reviewing it in prep for this. I have noticed, don't know if I'd call them issues, but things that I've noticed that were slightly out of place. So by the time we come back again, I'm gonna go through here and try to clean it up. There's definitely stuff that can be moved around in areas that could have potentially been put in other areas. So from here on out, I'll be paying much more closer attention to this and trying to do what I can to get it cleaned up.
Anybody else? I sense Commissioner Boyce is going to have a question. I can tell the way he's looking
Thank you,
over his
Mr.
material.
Chair. No, I'm okay.
We're all good. All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anthony.
So we're JJ.
Without speaking to Council Huddle, he's first up tomorrow. Perhaps we could start, if the council is ready, we could start tomorrow's meeting later.
In other words, that's a will, or we could start at the same time and finish earlier, but it's up to the budget committee. If you guys want to end today early, or if you want to keep going today, I can do mine pretty quick. So it's going to be like Chet and Anthony's, honestly, very quick.
Okay.
So if it's the will of the budget committee, we can keep going, but it's really up to you all.
Preferences, anyone?
Let's get her done.
You got time to prepare there. So would it start us late tomorrow, though? 50 minutes
Well,
late
I think the option is start at the same time and then finish early, but that's up to you all. Again,
I don't have the schedule for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think if you keep the start time the same, you don't have to change any notification. You can always end early. It's not going to.
I don't have the schedule, but I believe there were some on tomorrow who requested a later time than as late as we could. So it could throw things off a little bit.
Okay, well, however you guys want to do it, I can get through this really quickly.
Are you prepared, sir?
Yes, I am.
If you're ready,
We can start tomorrow.
If you're ready, let's do it.
Okay, good.
Let's get it done.
Thanks. So I'm found on page 106 of your materials. I'm in the admin services fund. It says county council. And as just like I said, for me, the lazy man's way of doing this, you look at your percentages. Whereas the county council on percentages, we're at the mid-year. I'm pretty much all at the 50%, and the average is 47.2. So we're tracking the budget really good. There was a couple of items that were slightly different on my, I think the next page on page 105. So we had, well, I've overspent on my office supplies, I guess, by $44, but on my computer software is at 45. My professional services, I've spent 28% of that, but I actually think that might also be kind of like with Anthony's parks and some stuff. What we did in our budget this year, we budgeted for full-time support staff, Brenda Starbird, with a full-time salary for a legal assistant plus roll-ups. We did not fill that. We contracted that out, and then we also used the savings. We had some unexpected expenses from litigation, outside counsel, and some experts. But what we did is we took the personnel salary, and just last December, with the assistance of Brad Rickert and his staff, we took the personnel salary and put it into professional services. So we basically, since we weren't paying us support staff, we took that into professional services to pay the experts, and it kept us, again, right on track with the budget. So it worked out great, and that's why when people say, oh, we lost money on this case, it's like we handled it all within budget. So really, everything's nothing really to see in the legal counsel budget. You guys have some changes coming up. We're going to be hiring a new counsel coming up pretty soon, or you'll be looking at your alternatives. I'll be retiring March 31st, so I won't see you during the budget hearings probably, unless they start before then. And your choices, as always on legal counsel, is you have in-house. You can hire an outside legal firm to do your work, or you can get an agreement with the district attorney. I don't want to speak for the district attorney, but I think there's very few counties who use the district attorney as their county counsel. The one odd part there is that's an elected position, so there could be some, more independence. Your legal counselors are supposed to give you their independent advice, but again, so there could be some tension with elected officials using another elected official as their counsel. Again, it works in some places, and some places even have an elected county counsel by charter. That's Joe County's an example there. I personally think the value you get out of an in-house legal counsel and staff is the best way to go, but it probably depends on who you get. So really, that's all I've got. There's nothing fancy with the legal budget, but and I think there'll be money left in the budget to pay the new counsel when you need them. So that's really all I've got, unless there's questions.
I didn't know you were leaving.
Thank you. I've kind of
Been
tried
trying
to make
keep it quiet.
I've been trying to remind the board in every meeting.
Right.
But no, you certainly, this is the first chance you've had to hear that, Mr. Brad. So Alcorn, Mr. Hawkins, thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions? Brad?
The idea then is to start 15 minutes later tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, I don't have an agenda, so I don't know who's up or what the
I don't
timing
have it in
issues
front of
are,
me.
but-
We were going to start at 9 with council starting at 9:15,
Okay.
just like today, and so then we'd start at 9:15 tomorrow instead of 9.
Okay.
If that
works for
what the
everybody here.
board
Then
wants.
we'll anticipate, or we will reconvene at 9:15 in the morning. And so, is there a motion to adjourn?
One quick question.
Oh, sure.
That's okay. Yeah. Publicly, we're set for 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So, not likely we'd have any public comment, but, do we change in 15 minutes? Am I overthinking something here?
No, I also was wondering, just as there's departments who will go later, are there any who are ready to just come in and knock it out? I mean, could you just anyway, I don't want to mess things up. It's 15 minutes, but with the change of time, we have to put out some kind of a notice that we're changing time. Now, in my opinion, you could just put it on the board and say, hey, we'll be back in 15 minutes. Really, I don't think we need to be too fancy. So
Somebody comes to public comment, we can buy them.
We'll reconvene at 9:15 in the morning. So, motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Second.
JJ, all in favor?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carried unanimously.
See you in the morning.